In the sweltering heat of a suburban Chicago neighborhood, two patrol officers pulled over a 12-year-old black boy riding his bike without a helmet, hurling mocking taunts about his thug life and gangster vibes, until they ran his information and learned his father was none other than FBI Director Marcus Hale, turning their casual cruelty into a career-ending reckoning that exposed deep flaws in policing. Marcus Hale had risen through the ranks of the FBI with a reputation for unyielding integrity and sharp intellect. At 48 years old, he had been appointed director just 2 years prior by the president himself, following a distinguished career that included dismantling major cybercrime rings and leading counterterrorism operations. His face had appeared on the covers of Time and Newsweek, not for scandal, but for his role in preventing a domestic terror plot that could have shaken the nation. Yet, despite his prominence, Hale kept his personal life fiercely private. He lived in a modest 2-story home on the outskirts of Chicago with his wife, Elena, a pediatrician, and their only child, Jamal, a bright 7th grader with dreams of becoming an engineer like his uncle. Jamal Hale was no stranger to the way of his last name, though he rarely mentioned it. At school, he excelled in math and science, captaining the robotics club and volunteering at the local community center. On weekends, he rode his beat-up mountain bike through the neighborhood, delivering groceries for elderly residents as a way to earn extra allowance. He knew the unwritten rules of his community all too well. Keep your head down, hands visible, and never argue with police. His father had drilled those lessons into him during family dinners, stories drawn from Marcus's own experiences growing up in the projects of Detroit. "It's not fair, son," Marcus would say, his voice steady but edged with sorrow, "but it keeps you safe." On that humid Saturday afternoon in July, Jamal pedaled home from the community center, his backpack stuffed with books for a summer reading project. The streets were quiet, lined with maple trees and tidy lawns, but the air carried the faint tension that always lingered in mixed-income neighborhoods like this one. Officer Derek Harlan and Officer Lisa Grant, both veterans of the Chicago PD's 14th District, were on routine patrol in their squad car. Harlan, 42, had joined the force after a stint in the military, where he prided himself on keeping order. Grant, 35, was newer to the beat but shared his worldview, often joking about urban youth during breaks at the precinct. They spotted Jamal first, a young black kid on a bike, no helmet, weaving slightly as he adjusted his load. "Pull that kid over," Harlan said, activating the lights with a flick of the switch. "No helmet. Probably up to no good." Grant nodded, stepping out as the car screeched to a halt behind Jamal. The boy braked abruptly, nearly toppling over, and steadied himself with one foot on the pavement. He turned slowly, hands gripping the handlebars, his heart pounding as he recognized the drill. "Good afternoon, officers," Jamal said, his voice polite but small, echoing the phrases his father had taught him. Harlan approached from the driver's side, his hand resting casually on his holster. "License and registration?" "Wait, you're on a bike." "ID, kid." "And what's with no helmet? You trying to crack that skull open?" Jamal reached slowly into his backpack for his school ID, announcing each movement as he'd been instructed. "I'm just getting my ID, officer. It's in here." He handed it over, the laminated card showing his name, age, and address. Grant snatched it, squinting at the photo. "Jamal Hale? Sounds like a wannabe rapper. What are you hauling in that bag?" "Huh? Drugs? Stolen goods." She chuckled, nudging Harlan, who smirked. Jamal's cheeks burned, but he kept his eyes down. "No, ma'am. Just books from the library. I was helping at the center." "Oh, sure," Harlan drawled, circling the bike like he was inspecting a suspect vehicle. "Little thug on a bike, playing delivery boy. Bet your dad's proud. Probably in and out of juvie already. Ever think about getting a real job instead of pedaling around like some gang lookout?" Grant laughed outright, leaning against the squad car. "Look at him, Derek. All dressed up in that clean shirt, but we know the type. Next thing, he'll be flashing signs or something. Kid, you got a record? Be honest, or we'll find out the hard way." Jamal swallowed hard, fighting the lump in his throat. He thought of his father's warnings, of the videos they'd watched together. Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile. "No, officers. I don't have a record. Can I go now? My dad's expecting me home. Harlan snatched the backpack, unzipping it without asking. Books tumbled out, algebra textbooks, a worn copy of The Hate You Give, and a robotics manual. He rifled through them mockingly. Oh, look at this. Little scholar. Huh? Or is this cover for something else? What's this one? Planning a heist with math problems. Grant joined in, picking up the novel and flipping it open. The Hate You Give? Fitting read for a street kid. You hate the cops that much already? Save it for your gang initiation. Tears pricked Jamal's eyes, but he blinked them back. Please, officers, I just want to go home. Home? Where's that? The projects. Harlan tossed the books back into the bag haphazardly. Tell you what, kid, since you're such a model citizen, why don't you give us a spin? Show us your best wheelie. Impress the nice officers. Jamal shook his head, voice trembling. I can't. I have to get these home. Grant's tone sharpened. Can or won't. Attitude like that gets you nowhere. Maybe we should call your parents. Bet Mommy's got a rap sheet, too. At that moment, a sleek black SUV pulled up a block away, its tinted windows reflecting the sun. Inside sat Marcus Hale, who had been running errands and decided to surprise Jamal at the community center. He spotted the squad car immediately, his stomach twisting as he recognized his son's bike. Parking quickly, he stepped out, his FBI credentials clipped visibly to his belt. Though he wasn't in uniform, just khakis and a polo shirt that did little to hide the authoritative set of his shoulders. As Marcus approached, Harlan and Grant didn't notice at first, too engrossed in their taunting. All right, kid, hands on the car. We're patting you down. Standard procedure for suspicious types. Jamal complied, palms flat against the squad car's hood, his small frame shaking. That's when Marcus's voice cut through the air like a blade. What exactly is going on here, officers? Harlan turned, irritation flashing across his face. Sir, this doesn't concern you. We're handling a traffic stop. Kid was riding without a helmet. Marcus's eyes locked on Jamal, who whispered, Dad. Relief flooded the boy's face, but fear lingered. Grant straightened, sizing up the newcomer. Yeah, stay back. This is police business. Marcus didn't flinch. He pulled out his FBI badge, holding it steady. Agent Marcus Hale, FBI. And that kid is my son. Now, I suggest you explain why you're harassing a 12-year-old on his way home from volunteering. The officers froze. Harlan's smirk vanished, replaced by a pallor that drained the color from his cheeks. Grant's mouth opened, then closed, her eyes darting to the badge, gold eagle gleaming under the sun. The words Director etched clearly below his name. Director? Harlan stammered, the word catchy in his throat. As in FBI Director Hale? Marcus nodded curtly, his gaze ice cold. The one and only. And you two just profiled and mocked my son because he was riding a bike without a helmet. Care to repeat those jokes about his thug life for the record? Jamal stepped away from the car, gathering his scattered books with trembling hands. Marcus placed a protective arm around him, but his focus remained on the officers. Radioed in. I want your sergeant here. Now! Grant fumbled for her radio, her voice cracking as she called dispatch. 14th District, Units 7 and 8. We need Sergeant Ruiz to our location on Elm Street. Code. It's a situation with federal involvement. Within minutes, Sergeant Ruiz arrived, lights flashing but sirens off. He was a grizzled 20-year veteran, known for his no-nonsense approach. Stepping out, he assessed the scene, Jamal clutching his backpack, Marcus standing tall, Harlan and Grant shifting uncomfortably. Sergeant, Marcus said evenly, your officers just subjected my son to racial profiling. Mocked him. Searched his bag without cause. I have the entire exchange on my phone's voice recorder. Started the moment I pulled up. Ruiz's face tightened. He turned to Harlan and Grant. What the hell happened here? Harlan swallowed, attempting bluster. Sarge, it was just a routine stop. Kid, no helmet. We were keeping it light. Light. Marcus interjected, his voice rising just enough to command attention. Telling a child he has gangster vibes? Rifling through his school books? That's your idea of light. Grant mumbled, "We didn't know who he was." "And that's the problem," Marcus shot back. "You didn't need to know. You saw a black boy on a bike and assumed the worst. That's not policing, that's prejudice." Ruiz sighed, rubbing his temple. He knew Hale by reputation, the man who had testified before Congress on systemic bias in law enforcement. "Director Hale, I apologize on behalf of the department. These two will be suspended pending investigation." "Not good enough," Marcus said. "I want body cam footage reviewed. And this goes straight to internal affairs. My son deserves better than this." As backup arrived to take statements, Jamal clung to his father, whispering, "Why do they hate us like that, Dad?" Marcus knelt down, meeting his son's eyes. "They don't hate us, son. They fear what they don't understand. But we're going to make sure they learn." Word of the incident spread like wildfire through the precinct. By evening, it had reached the Chicago PD's upper echelons. Chief Elena Vasquez, a Latina woman who had clawed her way to the top amid constant scrutiny, called Marcus personally. "Director Hale, I'm mortified. We got a zero-tolerance policy for this, but clearly it's not being enforced." Marcus, now back home with Jamal sipping hot chocolate to calm his nerves, replied coolly over speakerphone. "Chief, this isn't isolated. I've seen the stats. Black youth stopped at 3 times the rate of white kids for minor infractions. Your officers just gave me a first-hand example." Vasquez promised immediate action. Harlan and Grant placed on administrative leave, mandatory retraining for the entire district on implicit bias. But Marcus wasn't satisfied. He looped in his deputy at the FBI, who initiated a federal review of traffic stop data in Chicago, focusing on racial disparities. The next morning, local news outlets broke the story. A tip from an anonymous source, likely one of the responding officers, leaked the details. Cops taunt FBI director's son in shocking racial profiling bust. Reporters swarmed the Hale home, but Marcus issued a statement through his office. "This incident underscores the urgent need for reform. No child should fear those sworn to protect them. The FBI stands ready to assist local departments in rooting out bias." Jamal, meanwhile, processed a trauma with his mother's help. Elena Hale, with her medical background, recognized the signs of acute stress in her son, the nightmares, the reluctance to go outside. She arranged counseling sessions with a child psychologist specializing in racial trauma. "You're brave, mi amor," she told him one night, braiding his hair. "What you endured isn't your fault. It's theirs.